Roads, where we're podcasting from. We don't need roads. Welcome back to another episode of Love, Death, and Movies, Internet's #1 film breakdown and review show. The show that crushes a watch list week after week. Every month is a different genre. Every week is a different film in that genre. So follow us on everything. Join us on the ride. Let's watch some movies. With me, of course, each and every week, Pride of the West Coast, Ash First Movies. Ash, how are you?
I'm great. That was bravo.
Thank you. I'm getting good at this. I do it in my sleep now.
That was my favorite intro, I think, that we've done.
It?
You've done, really. Yes.
Was it better than last week's?
Yes.
We can also you can hire us to kill your wife or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely better than that one.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
How are you? I'm good.
I'm really good. I'm excited to get into this new month. So we're starting up a new month. This, of course, first week of it, we're doing the month of time travel. That's what we're calling it, I think. Yeah. Which I'm keen for because we can go so many different ways, which we are. So we're doing Back to the Future, of course, which is like, you think of time travel, this is the #1 film you're always going to think of, right? So we're doing, so I'm just fixing my camera a bit. So doing that. Then next week we've got About Time. So it's another nice little love story that has a little sci-fi element towards it, which we're keen for. The week after that we're doing Tenet, and we've got a guest for that, which will be cool. If you know movie talk and you know the one person that continually talks about Tenet, you could probably guess who it's going to be. And then we've got Pleasantville, a film that I think isn't real, but apparently is. So I can't wait for that. I've never seen Pleasantville. I'm really keen for it. So that is the month of time travel. I'm just looking forward to the months to come, and I'm so excited. But we're just not gonna say what it is. We're not gonna say. It's just there's a month coming up that I pitched for a while, and I finally got it, which I'm really keen for. But Ash, how are you? How was your week? Tell me the highs. Tell me the lows.
This week was fine. It actually kind of went by fast, to be honest. I feel like if you asked me what I did this week, I don't even know how to tell you. But I did stuff. I worked, watched some stuff. I recall you were supposed to have watched Severance by the time this was being recorded.
I'm halfway through season 1.
Are you actually?
I'm halfway through. I'm loving it. It's great.
Harry?
Yeah.
You're not even ready. Like the first 4 episodes, they're great.
They're really good, yeah. I've literally just finished watching episode 4.
Okay, you are literally in for a treat.
So
episode 5 through 9 is like perfect television.
So I haven't finished the first season, but I'm well and truly going to finish the first season. I'm sucked in. I love it. I think the whole world is awesome. It's really cool. I think Adam Scott's a perfect person to play. It's so interesting, in a way, this whole idea. And I would hate to do it, you know?
I feel like especially for people like you and I who work in the type of job we work in, in that type of, you work in the corporate culture to a certain extent, that it is crazy to imagine that you wouldn't know what's going on, between your two, your work day-to-day at work and outside of work. It's a wild premise.
Maybe we do we can talk about this off air, I guess. We can do an additional episode for Severance once season 2 wraps up.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think it wraps up in March, so that's perfect. We could maybe tie that in March, and that'd be a great idea. I love it.
I'm full of great ideas. Have you seen the months to come?
I've seen them. I don't think people are ready, but I have seen them. But yeah, otherwise, just been watching some stuff this week. Rewatched a lot of bangers like Superbad, Parasite, Back to the Future, Pitch Perfect. Rewatched that for the first time in a long time. And then I did watch one new release that I guess I can touch on for a second.
Go ahead.
Watched it today during the workday. You're Cordially Invited.
What's that?
It's a Amazon Prime original with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, sold.
Awful.
Oh, unsold.
I did not like it. I'd be very curious to see what you thought, but I thought it was pretty bad. Had some enjoyable moments, but overall just kind of just a messy straight to streaming.
Jimmy Tatro's in it.
Yes.
Oh,
he's actually one of the better parts in my opinion.
I like him.
But yeah, tell me what you think. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, but that's my first 2025 release that I've watched. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, nice. How
about you?
Yeah, it was good. I watched Flight Risk, so that's I've done a couple of 2025 releases. I did Companions 2025. That's good. I'm not sure if I talked about this last week. Companion?
You did, I think.
Cool,
you said you liked it.
I think you would really like Companion.
Yeah,
I feel like I get a good vibe from that movie. I watched Flight Risk, the Mark Wahlberg film. What's the odds that you're going to watch it?
Pretty low.
Well, it's spectacular, so you need to watch it.
You were not selling me on your Topher Grace and bald. Mark Wahlberg. Those are
Um,
like two of my least favorite things.
movie is fucking not good. Like, not good at all. It's literally just an hour and a half of these people just learning how to fly. Like, that's the
Boring.
entire film. So that I rewatched The Substance. I had a friend who's not really into movies, but every now and then gets obsessed to want to watch a specific film. And his wife hates horror. So
Mm.
he had to book in a day to come over to mine to watch The Substance. So I'm like, I didn't even choose to, like, I wasn't even in really a mood to watch The Substance, but he's just like, no, dude, please, can I come over and watch this? So I'm like, all right, come on. So we watch The Substance, and like as soon as the movie starts, you're locked in again. Like, that
Hmm.
movie, I fucking love that movie.
Same.
I think the movie is fucking awesome.
You have to pump it up.
Oh, so good. Yeah, my review for it on Letterboxd is just a reminder: The Substance isn't nominated by the Academy for Best Cinematography or Best Score, but Amelia Perez is for both. Just is what it is. Rewatched Back to the Future, of course. Haven't logged that, my bad. But last night I got to go to a 25th anniversary screening of American Pie at my local theater, and they had. Let me get his actual name up. I should fucking have it up. His
The one
name.
that plays Kevin.
Yeah, Thomas Ian Nicholas. He did like a Q&A beforehand for like half an hour, and then they did like auctioned off like a bunch of stuff because he was also in Rookie of the Year. So there's like a bunch of posters that he was signing in, one of the helmets that he used in the baseball helmets in the film. They auctioned that off, and it was awesome.
Nice.
He's a hilarious dude, but like, man, American Pie is such a good movie. It's so fun. It's just so fun. But my review very much, I believe that it walked so Superbad could run. I think Superbad kind of affected that teen comedy, but there was just nothing like American Pie at that moment. There was like Wet Hot American Summer. Was that before American Pie?
I don't know that I would put those in the same
Nah, I wouldn't either.
category, but it was after. But yeah, What Hot American Summer is much more like parody camp movie,
Yeah,
whereas American Pie is just like true, like sex fueled teenage comedy, like just kind of the typical high school movie.
big time. Well, like one of the things that Thomas Ian Nicholas was saying to like why it became so popular is because it was like everyone in the early 2000s, like it's their sex ed. Like that's
Yeah,
how they learn a lot of stuff was just by watching American Pie. The movie's so funny though. The movie's so fucking funny.
Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy is by far the best. The by
I think him
far.
and Jennifer Coolidge, honestly, are like some of the best parts of those movies.
Like, because Jennifer's not even in it that much.
No, she's
She's
not.
only in it for the pool room scene at the end. But Eugene Levy has these little moments, like where he's showing Jim the magazines, and he's like, "Well, if you look there, she's pretty good, Jim. She's pretty good." Like, all right, he's so funny. Like little things, just like where he's about to go off to prom, he's like, "Just make sure you put the corsage on properly," and then does like the giant eyebrows go up and down. You're like, you know what he's saying. But yeah, so I did that, and then yeah, brings us to now. But Ash, shall we get into it? We're going into Back to the Future, released in 1985, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Budget $19 million. Ash, how much do you reckon it grossed? 19 million back in the 80s.
Yeah, I feel like at least 100 million.
You'd be right, 389 million. So, wild success straight away. Quick synopsis: he was never in time for his classes, he wasn't in time for his dinner, then one day he wasn't in his time at all. 80s teenager Marty McFly is accidentally sent back in time to 1955, inadvertently disrupting his parents' first meeting and attracting his mother's romantic interest, which wild, this part of the film. Marty must repair the damage to history by rekindling his parents' romance and, with the help of his eccentric inventor friend Doc Brown, return to 1985. That is Back to the Future. Ash, what do you think of Back to the Future? What's your history with Back to the Future?
Oh man. Well, let me go back in time
Back in time. Yep.
to my childhood. Yeah, I mean, my history with this movie, it's at least 20 years at this point. I don't recall, I can't say that I recall, like, oh my God, it was this day on this year.
Yeah.
And, I just had this for dinner and sat down and watched it. I don't know that detail, but I know that I watched it young. I
It's like
think it
one of
was
those movies
around,
that you've always seen.
oh yeah,
Right?
like there's
Yeah.
not a time I can remember where I didn't have Back to the Future be a
Yep.
thing that I was, watching. That and the Goonies were always kind of
Oh yeah.
on repeat
Oh
for
yeah.
me growing up. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love this movie. I always have, but I think I definitely developed more of a fascination with it, like probably around like 24, 25, like not quite 10 years ago, but I think I rewatched it for the first time like in a while at that point, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's why I love this movie so much. And I think I've watched it probably at least every 2 years since. So it's just something that I find myself wanting to revisit. I would call this like in my top probably like 30 movies of all time. Like it's definitely up there for me. I think it ages fantastically. There's definitely parts of the movie you're like with the mom, and some of the things are just kind of like this is so ridiculous, so cheesy, but there's a charm to it that it just has that
Yeah.
I'm never gonna not love it. I will always be a Marty McFly lover, Doc Brown. They're just great characters. I think even Marty McFly might even be like a top 10 favorite character for me. Michael J. Fox is just so lovable,
He's
so
perfect.
great,
He's perfect.
perfectly cast. Yeah, it's a very well written film on top of just being like a fun time and having a lot of that 80s vibe. And then you get to drop back into the 50s and get some of the 50s vibe. So it's just a fun time from start to finish. And it's like the original like time travel movie, I feel like I can't think of anything that does it kind of in this exact recipe that came before it, but I could be wrong.
If there's probably stuff before it, but this one does it like the most iconic.
Yeah, maybe it's just like the one that people go to because it's the most iconic and interesting way, and also just the most fun way to do it. Obviously, through a DeLorean. I mean, come on. So yeah, there's just not much I don't love here, and it's been a long, long relationship, and it probably will continue to be.
Hell yeah, I love this movie. This movie's fantastic. It's like I'm the same with you. I don't remember a time that I hadn't watched this. I remember as a kid I loved it, and I remember as a kid I loved the second one more. But then as I grow up, I like rewatch them. Like, no, the first one's better. The first one is the best. I still love the second one. I think the third one's fucking great as well. Like,
Still fun.
it's still so much fun. They go back to the Wild Wild West. Like, it's so good. Hey, McFly! Oh, man, it's so fucking good. I think it's perfectly cast. I think the person that has the most fun in this film is Christopher Lloyd. I
Yeah.
think he loves being Doc Brown than anyone else likes being their character.
Hmm.
But everything about this film, shout out to the score. The score
Yes.
is outstanding. Just that like where you, like it's so good, and that final scene where he's going down and he hits it, and it's like da 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 da. Oh,
It's a
so
great score.
it's one of the best scores of all time. It's just so euphoric. I don't even know who the composer is. Probably someone huge. Jeez. I'm looking it up. It's Alan Silvestri. So yes, it is someone huge. So that guy's a wizard. So yeah, that makes total sense. But yeah, I love this movie so much. This is just such a cornerstone to like any movie lover's journey, I think. If you haven't seen any of the Back to Futures, it's just such a good trilogy as well.
It really is. There's not that many trilogies outside of like Lord of the Rings or I guess like the before trilogy. Those are the first two I think of that I would say like all the movies are, not equally as good, but
A
equally
minimum good, yeah.
like yeah, at least good. But yeah, this one's definitely up there. I actually own the trilogy, and I feel like I
So
normally watch all three, so it feels kind of weird to just watch the first one. I feel like
I'm
now I
probably
need to.
gonna, yeah, I'm probably gonna watch 2 and 3 over the next couple of days for sure. There is just so many good quotes. Like I was voice noting you every now and then while watching this film, where it's just like,
Hmm.
"Who was the president in 1985? Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, the actor." And I was like, I
Yeah,
love that so much.
it's so great. Actually, you just reminded me, even like thinking more about Christopher Lloyd. Like, I do think as much as Marty McFly is iconic and Michael J. Fox is perfectly cast, I do think this movie would not be as amazing
Without
without
Doc Brown.
Doc Brown and
Hmm.
Christopher Lloyd. I just think that he kind of adds something to it that makes it more than this just like cheesy kind of teenage 80s story. I think he just adds like this element to it that they just work so well. They're dynamic together. So
It's so
yeah,
good.
shout out him because he really does like take it to the finish line as far as being up there for great
You
blockbusters.
could tell they really like each other as well as
Yeah.
friends. You could
Yeah.
absolutely tell that, like, because you'd be able to tell if they don't have good chemistry. But oh, it's so good. Shall we get into the story? I've got a lot of notes on this one. I took a lot. Let's start in 1985, Ash. You reckon? I think so.
I think so.
On October 25th, 1985, real, Marty McFly, a 17-year-old high school senior, visits the home of his friend, an eccentric local scientist named Dr. Emmett Brown. But he finds that dark, that's what he always calls him, is not there. As Marty walks through Doc's house, he kicks a skateboard and it runs into a box of plutonium under his bed. Ooh, foreshadowing. Marty, however, does not notice the box and proceeds to hook up his guitar to the giant amplifier. Marty turns on the amplifier and sets it to the highest point and strums his guitar. The amplifier absolutely explodes and sends Marty flying into the shelves behind him. Hilarious. Great start. I love the start where he goes in and you see all the different inventions around the house. I think it's really cool. Marty soon after receives a call from Doc asking him to meet him at 1:15 a.m. in the parking lot at Twin Pines Mall, and was told not to use the amplifier, even though he'd already used it. He said, "There's a chance that it might overload." As Marty agrees, the clock in Doc's basement chimes the hour. When Doc remarks that the time is 25 minutes behind, proof that an experiment was successful, Marty realizes that he's late for school. "It's 8:25 in the morning?" "Yes, precisely. Damn. I'm late for school." It's the power of love.
Harry's just going to quote the entire film.
I love this movie, man. It's such a quotable film. "Hey, what are you looking at, butthead?" It's so good. When Marty gets to school, he finds his girlfriend Jennifer. She informs him that Mr. Strickland is looking for him. Mr. Strickland finds the teens and gives Jennifer and Marty each a tardy slip, which I'm guessing means they're just late. Is that what?
Yeah, tardy means late.
Okay, we never really have that in Australia because our parents love us. But
Okay.
I don't even know. While reprimanding Marty gives him a tidy slip. After school, Marty and his band, the Pinheads, audition to play at the school dance. This is kind of where you kind of see Marty has a big eccentric towards that 80s rock, but they're deemed that they were too loud and they were rejected. Afterwards, Marty confides in Jennifer about worrying that he will never get a chance to play for an audience. Foreshadowing. You might soon, Marty. You might soon. Jennifer soon has to leave and she's going back to her grandma's house this week, writes the phone number on the back of a flyer. Marty folds the flyer, puts it in his pocket. Let's go. When Marty gets home, he finds that his family's car has been wrecked by his father, George's supervisor, Biff Tannen, who is just a meathead, who's been drinking and driving and is complaining that George has not told him that a car is a blind spot. I love that. Biff demands to know who's going to pay for his dry cleaning bill as he spilled his beer while during the crash. It's just such a good little point in the dialogue where he's just like, "Look at this stain, who's going to pay for this? I spilled beer on it." You're instantly all right, his drink driving is a fucking moron. By the way, everyone listening, the Love, Death, and Movies podcast is against drink driving. We are. I'm not sure if Ash is, but definitely from my side. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. Biff then bullies George into writing his reports. It's kind of just like a bully trying to get the nerds' homework. The family has dinner and discover that Marty's older brother Dave, who works for Burger King, his sister Linda has no love life, and his alcoholic mother Lorraine disapproves of girls chasing boys, and that's why she doesn't like. At this point, she doesn't like Jennifer because Jennifer's called for Marty to call to. It's it doesn't like girls chasing boys. Such a stupid thing. Such a stupid. Weird fucking hill to die on. Yeah. She remarks that fate brought her and George together from her father hitting George with a car after he mysteriously fell from a tree. Lorraine then mentions their first kiss at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. It was obvious there that there was no real passion between Lorraine and George. Lol. Marty falls asleep after dinner and is awoken by Doc calling him to bring Doc's video camera to the Twin Pines Mall. "You haven't fallen asleep, have you?" Marty meets Doc at the mall to witness him film a demonstration of Doc's latest invention, a time machine made from a modified DeLorean. Now, I've got a little fact for you here, Ash. Where is it? There we go. Writers Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis actually received a fan letter from John DeLorean himself, the creator of the car, after the film's release, thanking them for immortalizing his car, which they have. They're in Australia, there's 3 DeLoreans. One of them is owned by a guy called Matthew Riley. He's an author. Have you heard of the Matthew Riley books? Ice Station, Da Vinci Code.
I know what the Da Vinci Code is, but I've never read.
That's not Matthew Riley, don't. Yeah, I was hoping you'd be like, "Oh, I know that one." He's like classic young adult action sort of thing. So it's like it's all about like SAS soldiers and shit. But he loves that sort of stuff. But he has a DeLorean. That's always what I do. Yeah, so time machine made from a modified DeLorean, which must travel 88 miles per hour in order to travel through time. Doc tests the car by sending his dog Einstein 1 minute into the future. Overjoyed by his success, Doc demonstrates to Marty how the time machine works by entering several significant dates into a keypad and telling him that the time machine needs 1.21 gigawatts of electrical power. That is important. Doc enters the date, November 5th, 1955, and explains to Marty that this is the date where he came up with the idea of the flux capacitor, and that's the device that he used for time travel. After, Doc refuels the plutonium chamber, because of course he stole plutonium, plutonium chamber of the time machine. A group of Libyan terrorists arrive, from whom he took the plutonium in exchange for a fake bomb. The Libyans show up and shoot Doc. He's dead. But Marty's able to escape in the DeLorean, accelerate to 88 miles per hour, and thus inadvertently sending him 30 years into the past to November 5th, 1955. Ash, anything to add in this beginning?
And I love
these are
the
good
opening.
notes. These are good notes, by the way.
They are. You're almost doing it like I normally like do, which I always feel like I give too much, but I love it. This is like a perfect movie to walk through like scene by scene because it's all so good.
I feel like for a podcast, it's kind of like, I always see these podcasts as like kind of like an audiobook, like a summary, and we go through it and we like point out little things throughout it.
100%. Yeah, no, I love the opening. I think it's really funny. It's kind of like, yeah, it's just a great little introduction to Marty and Doc's relationship and also just how Marty is as a person. And I kind of love that like Michael J. Fox, he's a small guy. And I love that like Marty has this like, I guess, energy and like confidence about him that's like the opposite. Like it doesn't feel like that, I guess, if that makes sense what I'm trying to say. He gives off this energy that is different than his overall like, I guess, appearance and aesthetic, which is just kind of fun. But yeah, I think that the dad and Biff stuff it really irks me. I was like making a face the entire time you were talking about those scenes because I'm just like, God, if I was a grown up and somebody was in my face, like knocking on my head, talking to me like that, I could never tolerate even a second of that.
If I'm 17 or 18 and I'm seeing that happen to one of my parents, I'm swinging. Like, absolutely.
Why does everybody just accept it? But also just like even as George as a person, like I don't care how you were treated in high school.
Yeah.
What grown up is gonna just sit there and let another person knock on their head? Like,
yeah, that's wild.
Me, dude. Yeah, that was pissing me off. I was just like, God, this really makes me hate Biff even more, and that's obviously the point. So that's what you're supposed to feel. But yeah, just the family. I feel like the main reason they want to showcase this scene with the family is obviously to show you what their reality is, so that when you see the ending, it sort of like is a full circle moment. So I think obviously it's an important scene, but it kind of just is a little depressing to witness.
Oh yeah.
Which I guess is the point. But yeah, in this chunk of the movie, I think my favorite scene is really just the meetup at the mall and like them kind of getting, Marty learning about it and Doc getting all excited talking about it. And obviously the Libyan terrorist thing.
It's such a funny little inclusion. They're like, we have to get Doc to seem like he's dead. Let's include terrorists. The Libyans!
Yeah. It kind of felt, that was the only part that felt a little maybe outdated and didn't age super well. Like when they were like talking, the Libyans sound like they were just like speaking gibberish. Like they didn't even try to get Libyan actors or like learn the language or anything. They just threw some like regular actors and were like, let's just have them say gibberish and pretend. So that didn't necessarily age the best, but I can't say I'm too surprised from it being an 85 movie. But yeah, otherwise, hilarious scene. The gun shooting, it's all like obviously so fake and it's perfect for an 80s movie. And like even like the flames, CGI.
Oh, so good, so iconic with the flames, yeah.
Yeah, I just love some of those first scenes with him showing him the car and then obviously Marty driving off and it working, basically. So yeah, just like, some great scenes.
Because I've got like a list in my phone of about 20 different things that I'd like of movie related tattoos that I'm like I might get, not all of them, but like some of them. And one of them is from Back to the Future, and it's coming up soon. Well, it's coming out towards the end of the film. I was thinking about getting like the letter where it goes, "Don't open till 1985." I think that's a really cool, like just something little, and you just like a little letter envelope or something, and it says "Don't open till 1985." I think that's a really cool little reference there,
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
I've seen a couple in real life of people that have the flame tire tracks. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
cool. It's
Hmm.
cool, but it's like
Yeah,
it's tough to make it look cool. You know, you know.
yeah, you'd have to have a pretty good artist for that. I feel like in a good spot to put it on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right up my back. So we get to 1955. Ash. Marty immediately arrives at Twin Pines Ranch, who's owned by Otis Peabody. Marty crashes into the barn on Peabody's property, which causes the entire family to wake up and come outside. On seeing Marty in his radiation suit, they think that he is an alien. Mr. Peabody then gets his shotgun to kill Marty, but Marty is able to escape. In a rush to get away, Marty runs over the namesake of the Twin Pine trees in the DeLorean, which is quite fun.
Hmm.
Marty encounters many differences from 1985 and 1955, including a cleaner, less rundown ambience in the courthouse square. While searching for a younger Doc Brown, he meets his father in a cafe and finds that even back then he was practically under Biff's heel. Following George, he finds him in a tree with binoculars, spying on Lorraine undressing. This is where it's like, oh, this isn't really cool, George.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Suddenly, George falls out of the tree into the path of a car, but Marty pushes him out of the way and is hit instead, altering the path of reality. George runs off as the owner. Lorraine's dad shouts for help. Marty wakes up to find his mother watching over him, and however, it's as a teenager Lorraine caring for him, and it's clear that she likes the stranger, who she calls Calvin Klein because that's the name on his underwear, because he's wearing Calvin Klein underwear.
Alvin.
Cal. Um, I love it because everyone just calls me Marty.
Yeah, she just buys it. Like, okay, sure, Marty.
Yeah, he has dinner with Lorraine's family and claims that he's seen the episode of The Honeymooners on TV, even though it is brand new. And he meets his uncle Joey, a future jailbird who loves being in a playpen. And it's good. There's a good line. It's
Yeah.
like, enjoy those bars. Get used to those bars. I love that. Disturbed by his mother's flirtations, who everyone should be. Marty is shocked because she is entirely different from the prudish woman he remembers. Marty quickly leaves after feeling uncomfortable and finds Doc, who disbelieves his story until Marty mentions the flux capacitor and how Doc came up with the idea. He then shows Doc the DeLorean. Amazed that one of his inventions will work, Doc realizes that he's got to get Marty home. After watching Marty's film of the time machine experiment, Doc is shocked to hear his future self explain that the DeLorean needs 1.21 gigawatts of energy. Doc explains that he has no access to anything that will produce that amount of electrical power on demand, and concludes that only harnessing the electrical power of a lightning bolt will give the flux capacitor the power it needs. Let's get some lightning then, Doc. Marty then shows him the flyer from 1985 that gives the exact time and place of a lightning bolt 1 week away. Doc sets out to build a device that will be able to channel the lightning bolt into the flux capacitor, ultimately sending Marty back to 1985. So the thing that he found is that they have the clock tower in the town square, and that was stopped at the precise moment that was struck by lightning, and that was in 1955, and he found out when exactly it was struck. So they're going to be able to... You get it. This excites Marty, suggesting that Doc shows him around town while he waits. Doc stops him mid-sentence, stating that he cannot leave his house. Anything he does risks altering future events. Doc then asks Marty if he'd talked to anyone else today beside him. Marty admits that he ran into his parents. Shocked at this revelation, Doc tells Marty that his encounter with his parents has jeopardized Marty's own existence. A photograph that Marty carries with himself, which is a good little MacGuffin, Dave and Linda, which the photo contains Marty, Dave, and Linda, so his two siblings, documents their peril. Part of Dave, the eldest brother, appears to have been erased from the film, soon to be followed by Linda, and finally, unless disaster is averted, Marty himself. Suddenly realizing that pushing his father out of the way of the car has caused his current problem, Marty sets out to get the two back together before it's too late. Marty begins trying to persuade George to ask Lorraine to the dance, but George is too nervous. They also have trouble with Biff, who is after Lorraine. Biff just fucking sucks. You know how last week we talked about, I can't remember his name, William H. Macy though in Fargo. Jerry. Biff and Jerry tied right now. It's just pieces of shit. After a couple of unsuccessful attempts at getting George and Lorraine together, Marty dresses up in the radioactive suit and rudely awakens George while he's sleeping because he's so infatuated with sci-fi that he thinks that this would help. Marty claims to be Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan, which is references to both Star Wars and Star Trek. The next morning, George finds Marty because he's now convinced that he must woo Lorraine. In Lou's cafe, George attempts to woo Lorraine, but Biff comes in and harasses George once again. However, Marty trips Biff, which leads to an exciting chase where he gets the skateboard. Marty runs out of the cafe, makes a makeshift skateboard from a kid's scooter, classic. Marty then is able to outsmart and outmaneuver Biff and his gang, who are in a car. Biff subsequently runs into a manure truck, and the whole incident makes Lorraine even more attracted to Marty, and she asks Marty to the dance. Anything to add here, Ash, before we continue on?
I feel like you just said so much.
So we started from when he got to 1955.
Yeah.
And he bumped into... There's a lot of flirtation with his mum and himself.
Yes.
It's really weird.
Yes, there's a lot. First, I just wanted to point out that I think it's pretty cool that I've actually been to this lot where it was filmed.
1955.
Not the 1955, but I have been to Universal Lot a couple times and seen where the whole town was filmed. You can really tell in the 1955 setup that it's like a film lot. It's pretty clear, but it's cool how they set it up. And yeah, I've been to that little clock tower area, and it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I forgot you've been to Universal Studios. It's kind of crazy to imagine that, like, it's so empty looking when you go on the lot tour. Like, it just looks like a normal, like, boring building with a clock. So yeah, I think it's kind of fun to see that kind of stuff. I think they have the DeLorean as well there stored.
Yeah.
As part of the tour. So I do think it's kind of cool that we've both seen that. So
look at that.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, no, I think this just continues to make me hate George. I really don't like him as a character. I think he's pretty sucky across the whole movie.
Big time.
For different reasons. But yeah, I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with a lot of what's happening here. I tried to just kind of chalk it up to it's 1955. So maybe at that time, women were very impressed, like watching men fight each other, and that was kind of how they chose who they were into. I'm not too sure. That doesn't do anything for me personally, but I guess that works for Lorraine. So can't tell her she's wrong. But I don't love that aspect of it. But nothing can make me hate this movie, so I don't care. It doesn't bother me enough. But I'm not a huge fan of the way that George goes about getting Lorraine and like Marty's way of helping her. Like, I get why he has to do it. So I don't think his intentions are bad or anything, but it's just kind of odd behavior, I guess, on George's part. So not sure why he was written that way exactly, but in the end, I guess they're a big happy family, so it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Biff is awful. I think he might be worse than Jerry because of what he does to Lorraine at the dance.
Yeah. Like Jerry had his wife killed, but I agree. He, like, inadvertently, you could, they're both terrible people.
Just horrible all around. And yeah, just the fact that he's like such a big bully, I feel like just makes him a different kind of like bad guy. But I love the scene where they obviously do the chase. I think I love that this movie parallels everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like Marty with not even parallels, but like it kind of parallels and foreshadows things. Like you were saying, some of the little Easter eggs in the beginning lead to things in the end. But even like saying the thing, like the baby being in the playpen or the crib with the bars, and it's like he ends up in prison. And then you have even Marty riding his skateboard, pulling with the truck in the beginning, and then he does it again in 1955. So it's like they try to parallel everything between the two time periods, which I think is a really fun way to do a time travel movie. So I do enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
I also just want to add on to that. Like, I love all the whole idea that you do anything, it's going to alter the future.
Oh yeah.
And like, so like even towards the end, the beginning where he's just like, he stood up to Biff. He's never stood up to Biff. He goes, never? He's like, is that a problem? He goes, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Doc knows he's like, future's going to be different now.
And I do feel like it is interesting to me that it doesn't change more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't really know because we only get a little snippet at the end of what they're up to in the current 1985, but I do wonder how much it shifted little relationships here and there. Because you'd have to imagine that it would. Like it, I don't know. It seems a little unrealistic that their life would be that different just because of different circumstances and as far as how they met and everything. But for the sake of the movie, I do love that aspect of it, that he's able to get the parents back together and make all their lives a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like it actually has made everyone way
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% across the board, even Biff. So it is just an interesting addition to the movie, I guess. But yeah, I think that Doc in this time frame in 1955, he's just like even elevated on the comedy and the iconic lines. Like this is where he has, I think for me, like he's the best part of the movie during this chunk of it.
Big time. I love the scene where he goes into the cafe in 55 first, and Goldie Wilson is the busboy, and he's just
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna be someone. He goes, yeah, he's gonna be mayor. He's like, mayor. I like that. I'm gonna clean these streets. He goes, and then he gets a broom. He's like, yeah, we'll start off with cleaning these floors. He's like, I
yeah,
love that exactly what you're saying. How like it like parallels the present of
yep,
like everything that's going to happen, sort of thing. I really like that. Like even at the beginning, he was told that like Marty was told that like Twin Pines is named after the Twin Pines owned by Peabody, and he like
yes,
cherishes them.
exactly.
First thing he does is destroy them,
Yep.
like little things like that. Like I think that are really really smart, and this is why I really like Back to the Future Part Two as well, because it's the kind of the exact same
Hmm.
parallel and all the like different things. Like there's the chase, there's you see Goldie
Yep.
again and stuff, but it's like in the future. Which fuck, I'm
Yeah.
very excited to rewatch that. I might do that if I got time. I might do that let's say later this summer before I go become a cowboy.
Do you remember how it felt to watch Back to the Future Part 2
Yeah,
before 2015 actually happened?
yeah, yeah,
It was, I just remember it was totally different. It's weird watching it now and seeing what they imagined it would be like, but it was even crazier watching it like in 2005 or something like that.
yeah.
Being like, oh my God, in 10 years, we're going to be at this point.
Hoverboards, a
Yeah.
giant like the 3D shark is the big thing that I always remembered.
The
Um,
fashion too is just so funny in
oh, the
it.
fashion was sick. Like oh man, the almanac. That's the big thing in part two, isn't it? It's part of the.
Yeah.
Oh man, I fucking love these movies. Ash, how good are
So
movies?
good.
Oh, movies are all.
Love movies.
Let's continue. Marty accepts the invitation to go to the dance, but forms a plan for George to get Lorraine. Marty tells George that his plan is to, quote, take advantage of Lorraine in the car, which. Is that the fucking end of the plan? Like, I understand, like,
Not a good
he
plan.
wants Lorraine to think that he's a piece of shit. So I get why, but I was like, is that kind of.
Nothing else he can do.
That's
Sorry,
what
we
I'm
didn't even,
saying.
I got so distracted
Go
thinking
ahead.
about some other stuff. I didn't even touch on the mom and the
Oh,
crush
it's
on
so
her son.
weird, dude. It's so
Why did
weird.
that have to be the thing? Why couldn't she like I guess I just don't understand. Like Marty coming there has her so distracted that that's the only reason why. I guess her and George did meet by fate, like she says in the beginning. So
Yeah,
I guess she had zero interest in him.
they mentioned that like she felt bad for George that his father hit him with the car, and that like transpired to like her feeling like she needed to love him. That's why they fell in love.
I
That's
would
why
never
like
date somebody out of just pure like, oh, I feel kind of bad that we hit you with our car.
yeah, like
What?
I would date someone that I hit with my car. But bam, like but
Yeah, but dating someone you hit with your car is one thing, but dating them just because of that reason, because you feel bad, is a totally different
what
thing.
about you date them and then you hit? Is that bad if you hit them after?
Probably.
Okay,
Don't
well,
get me distracted about
all
this
right.
debate, but either way, it's a stupid reason to date somebody. Um, but I don't think Lorraine makes very good decisions, so can't say I'm too surprised.
That's true.
But yeah, I just don't quite understand why that has to be the thing. I think there could have been a lot of other things he could have
He could
done
have just
that
done it
would,
vocally, right? Like he literally just could have like got into an argument, like called her names or something, and that would immediately make her think that he's a dirtbag and turn off him.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but at the same time, he needs George to kind of come
he
to her
does.
rescue for her because that's how like she wants to see him. Which I get, but
Yeah,
it's such a it's 80s. It's 80s.
yeah,
It's
I
something we got
kind
to
of
chalk
don't
up to
get.
80s.
Yeah, I don't get too like focused on the details because I love this movie too much, and like no amount of that storyline is going to make me not
Yeah,
love
this
this
isn't
movie.
like 16 Candles. This is
No,
like, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But I personally do not think, I think it's dumb that she needs to be won over by like someone coming to her rescue. Maybe I'm just too much of a modern woman. I don't get it. But
She's a modern woman,
I
ladies and
just
gentlemen.
I don't see what is so great about a man coming to your rescue. It's great that if he wants to help you, but I don't necessarily think that means that she's gonna like marry him because of it. You know what I mean? Like
No, for
they
sure.
go a little far with what they think is going to win her over. I think it's a bit unrealistic, but I'm trying to remember it's supposed to be
And
1955,
it's a bit of like
so
a fairy tale at the same time, you know.
it is. But life was different in the 50s, and people kind of did live a little bit in a fairy tale. So who knows? What do I know? I was born in '93, so who am I to say?
Who are you to say, Ash? Who?
I'm not Calvin Klein, so
That's true. That's true. Mighty, so yeah, so they plan to take advantage of Lorraine in the car so that George can come rescue her. On the night of the dance, however, Lorraine is more than willing to let Marty take advantage of her. She eventually plants a kiss on Marty, and that's where Harry goes, "Whoa, this is weird. This gives me like Luke and Leia sort of vibes." But it also lasts a couple of seconds before suddenly growing uncomfortable and comparing it to kissing her brother. Bill. I keep saying Bill because I see Biff, but it's you look at it and kind of looks like else. Biff, also perfect name for this character. He's just such a perfect name. Biff interrupts and gets in the car with Lorraine, while Biff's gang locks Marty in the trunk of the band's car. Marty is soon freed from the trunk and he runs back to where Biff and Lorraine are. When George arrives expecting Marty, he finds Biff harassing Lorraine. Biff offers George the chance to walk away as Lorraine pleads for help, but despite his fear, George tells Biff to leave Lorraine alone. "You get your damn hands off her." Biff responds by getting out of the car and twisting George's arm back in, threatening to break it. Lorraine tries to force Biff to let go, but he pushes Lorraine to the ground and laughs at her. This makes George infuriated and knocks Biff out with a single punch to the chin, because that's definitely possible from that direction and that speed and that weight, but it is what it is. This is when Marty arrives just in time to witness. George and Lorraine head off into the dance as the assembled students can't believe that George knocked out Biff. I love throughout the dancing, he goes, hey, George, way to go knocking Biff out. I love it. Marty's also shocked but happy that his father finally stood up to Biff. However, the photograph still isn't fading because they haven't kissed. Remember, they fall in love with the kiss. It turns out that the single guitarist Marvin Barry cut his hand while trying to free... Marvin Barry, by the way, hilarious. Cuts his hand trying to free Marty from the trunk using a screwdriver, meaning that the live music is seemingly over, robbing George and Lorraine the opportunity to kiss on the dance floor. Marty volunteers to play guitar instead, however, suddenly finding himself the only one left in the photo in which Lorraine and George are dancing was the only thing keeping him in existence. During the first number, Earth Angel, Mark Dixon, who's this little... Oh, I was about to say a bad word. He's a student, cuts in between George and Lorraine. Despite Lorraine asking George for help, he initially walks away from the confrontation. Marty suddenly collapses on stage, sees that his image is now fading from the photograph, and fading from the photograph and reality, and he's literally fading from existence as his hand starts to become translucent. Thankfully, George gets back his newfound confidence, pushes Dixon to the floor, and proceeds to kiss Lorraine. At that moment, Marty photograph completely comes back in existence, and Marty straight up comes back and starts playing again, like
seeing
perfectly.
how he like moves, it's so insane how they
It's
did
so
that.
good. I love it. Marty's fully restored before Dave and Linda also reappear. Thus, Marty's future existence, along with his brother and sister, is assured. At the band's request, Marty plays one more song, Johnny Be Good. Classic scene. In the face of the apprehending stares from the audience, Marty says, "I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are going to love it." And you see one of my favorite quotes from the whole film is Marvin Barry on the side, where he's like, "Yo, it's your cousin, Marvin Barry. You're looking for a new song, a new sound? Listen to this." Oh, so fucking good. Marty has one last chat with his parents and leaves to rejoin Doc Brown, who has suspended a cable from the top of the clock tower to channel the lightning into the DeLorean. Just as Marty is getting ready to take the DeLorean to the starting line, the starting line that Doc drew, because he's calculated exactly how long he has to drive and at what time, and gives him a little alarm clock. It's adorable. Doc discovers a letter that Marty has written earlier describing Doc's death. Doc does not wanting to alter the future, tears it up. However, a tree limb falls on the cable, disconnecting it. Doc runs to fix the cable. Marty continually tries to tell Doc about the future, but he doesn't get the chance before he has to return to the DeLorean. Great shot of him jumping over the DeLorean. Fucking cool. Marty, get in there. Getting in the car, Marty bemoans that he needed more time, then realizes that he's in a time machine. He has all the time he wants as long as he hits the cable of the lightning strike and resets the time circuit to take him back to a time that is earlier than when he left, so he can save Doc. Meanwhile, Doc fixes one wire only to disconnect another. So he slides down the wire, reconnects it. Just as the lightning hits the tower, Marty accelerates to 88 miles per hour and connects the cable just as the lightning speeds through the electrified wire, sending the DeLorean back to the future. Holster the guns, I've got fucking license for him. Awestruck by what he has achieved, Doc runs along the fire trails and suddenly screams with joy and laughter at his successful experiment. The last shot of 1955 is Doc beaming up at the clock tower. Anything to add here, Ash, or should I just go on to 1985?
You can continue. We can finish up and then talk about it if you want.
Nice. Back to 1985. It's only very short anyway. Marty returns to 1985 10 minutes before he left, but the car stalls again. While frantically trying to start the car, the Libyans drive past, and Marty has no choice but to run to the mall, now called Lone Pine Mall, due to Marty having run over the pine trees in 1955. Marty arrives too late and sees Doc being shot by and his other self-driving in the DeLorean back in time while the terrorists crash into the Fox photo booth. As Marty rushes down, he begins weeping over Doc's loss. Doc suddenly sits up, opening a radiation suit and reveals a bulletproof vest. He then pulls out the letter that Marty wrote him, yellowed with age, and taped back together that he tore to shreds 30 years before. Marty asked Doc why would he kept the letter if he was so worried about screwing up the future. Doc simply tells Marty, well, I figured, what the hell? I love it so much. Doc drives Marty home and then departs to the year 2015. We'll see that soon. In the morning, Marty discovers his house is different. There's a new BMW in the driveway in place of the wrecked Chevy from the previous 1985. Linda has an active social life, and Dave has an office job. Lorraine and George arrive home from playing tennis, both more fit and active, and much more affectionate towards one another than when Marty left. Lorraine now approves of Marty seeing Jennifer, and George also sees more self-confidence, even catching Biff in a fib, which means a lie. Biff, who is now timid and instead of being George's supervisor, is now an automotive dealing service. Wrote that wrong. Biff, who is now timid and instead of being George's supervisor, now has an auto detailing service and runs in with the delivery of George's first novel, a sci-fi story called A Match Made in Space, which is a great name. Marty then finds a Toyota Hilux pickup truck that he previously converted is now his gift from his parents. As Marty and Jennifer about to take a ride in the truck, Doc appears in the DeLorean and telling Marty that he has to come to the future. Something has got to be done about your kids, Marty. He then hurries Marty and Jennifer into the car. As Doc pulls out to the driveway, Marty points out that there isn't enough road to go to 88 miles per hour. And Doc simply replies, roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. He then flies off in a fusion-powered and hover-converted DeLorean, leading to the events of Back to the Future Part 2. Honestly, one of the perfect endings of any film. Any film. That is Back to the Future. This movie is fucking spectacular. I want to give my score first. Sorry, Ash. I think this movie is perfect. Sure, like we can. Like, I agree with everything that we've said. There's like little points of like, why did he do this? Like that is like I think we can both agree that is like nitpicking for nitpicking's sake, right? But in terms of a film, it not like this is one of the most iconic films. It has one of the best scores of all time. We everyone loves Marty McFly and Doc Brown. They're so beloved, and this whole idea of just going back to the future, and then this whole like love story as a counterpart, I think is perfect. I give this movie a 5 out of 5. I love this movie. I fucking love this movie so much.
Yeah, no, I second everything you said, and I agree. It is, it's important even when we talk about movies that are, perfect, quote unquote, that we still can, critique them in ways and give feedback that, isn't going to be the most positive, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad, it's not taking down the score by any means. So,
For sure.
yeah, I don't think that there's necessarily a part of this movie that I'm like, oh, if it was like this or like that or like that, it'd be better. It's more just, why did they choose to do that? I don't really know. But yeah, I just kind of chalk it up to, the time, or they just wanted to keep the story super simple. And maybe this is just like the way to keep it, with like a pretty simple plot. But regardless, I love it as well. I echo everything that you said. I do really love that ending. And this movie also has 2 great vehicles. That truck at the end.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it? The Hilux? It's so good.
So good. Just throwing that out there, in case you need some ideas for our what's next.
But I'm going to buy a car. Yeah. But
Yeah.
my brother had like 4 Hiluxes in a row. So
Really?
yeah, he loved Hiluxes. It was hilarious because I was looking, like, I rewatched this film and I was like, it kind of looks like a Hilux. And I looked up the make and model. I was like, it's a fucking Hilux. And I thought it was great.
That's funny.
Yeah, so
I don't feel like you see that many of those, so that is kind of interesting to have
there are
that.
heaps in Australia. Like Australia is very much like I don't know if you call them. We call them Utes, UTES Utes, which means like it's like I think it's what you call a pickup truck.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Like what like a Hilux. The Hilux there is a Ute
Yeah.
pickup truck.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think as far as like the rest of this film though, I think the only thing for me that I've always wondered, I guess, or maybe I don't, what made the brother and sister's life better? Just the parents and like the overall life that
I
they
think
had
it's
together better?
I think it's their upbringing. Like the
Okay.
dad was able to give like convey more confidence towards the
Yes.
kids, and like it's much more of a loving household.
Yeah,
That's
for
how I
sure.
saw it.
Yeah, I was just like trying to gather like did anything specific happen with him and his siblings outside of just their life was better in
Like
general?
one fun thing is like Marty didn't change at all, like,
No,
which I think is pretty funny.
yeah, I do find that I'm not sure that that logic would make sense, but at the same time, I don't care to overanalyze the aspects of time travel. But no, I mean, I think this movie it is cheesy in a lot of ways, but it works, and I think that movies that were made in the '80s unfortunately could get away with a certain level of cheese and have charm. People struggle now making movies, I think, to balance the charm and the cheesiness to where it comes off sometimes not so great. So I don't know what they were doing in the '80s, but I just feel like they were doing it better as far as combining those 2 things together. But yeah, I think this is a great movie that I don't know if I mean, I guess I'd call it perfect. I agree with that. I think it's a 5 out of 5 for me as well.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I really don't have like anything about it that would make me say it's not perfect. I do think it's well written, great score, amazing characters, fun story, love time travel.
movie fucking rules.
It's fucking awesome. The soundtrack's great. And yeah, Marty McFly, top character of all time. Doc Brown, top character of all time. Fantastic trilogy. So all around, if you haven't seen this movie, what are you even doing?
What are you even doing,
Butthead
butthead? Nice.
and Bitch
Nice.
sucks.
Ash, shall we go on to the game of the show? Oh, but before you do that, sorry. Next week, please watch About Time.
Yes.
So, yes, I'll reiterate it at the end, but yes.
Let's do our game.
So we're
Yeah,
going
me
into a
too.
draft, right? Yeah, we're doing a draft. So just normal 5.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
down to do 5. If you want to keep going once we get started, we could do like 7 or 8, but I'm good with just 5 if
cool.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Let's start. So we're doing best vehicles in game because DeLorean's the DeLorean. So
Yep.
best vehicles in game. I did say game in movies. My bad.
You said game, but for some reason I just like I processed it as movie. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Well,
Good, good,
who's
nice.
going first?
I'll put I'll do a little name generator. Sorry. Random. I feel like there are so many ones that could go. You might be able to hear that on my mic there. Might be oh, it is me. Sorry. I'm putting it up to the camera just to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
What's
That's
it gonna
actually a
be?
live audience, by the way, we've got behind us. There's so many, you can go so many different ways,
Mhm.
right? But I feel like I'd have to go the DeLorean. The
Yeah.
DeLorean needs to go round one, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the DeLorean. I think the
Okay.
DeLorean is so fucking cool. And it's like it's not only it's just iconic to a way that like you say DeLorean, you don't think of a car brand, you think of Back to the Future.
That's very true and fair. That is that's not super common with most vehicles from movies where like the first thing you think of is that. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them are just cars. They're just regular cars that you can find. But that one, I don't think that anyone thinks of anything but Back to the Future. So
Hell yeah.
nice. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be taking Marty's truck from Back to the Future as my first
Still on
pick.
the board though, still on the board.
Still on the board. Man, I feel like the other iconic 80s car that I think of, I don't know if this is the best first pick, but I'm going to do it anyways. The Ferrari from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Nice.
For me, that's like one of the more iconic cars in a film. And it's one that I actually like. I'm not really a car person. I'm sure most people could kind of gather that. Just if you have known me for any amount of time. But yeah, Ferrari's pretty sick.
Nice. Are we doing just cars? Or can it be different modes of transport?
It can be different modes of transportation. Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna do the Millennium Falcon from Star
Nice.
Wars as my number two. The Millennium Falcon.
I wasn't thinking about any type of quote unquote vehicles like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave spacecraft off my mind because I did not prepare for
That's
that.
the only
But
one I can think of, to be honest. Yeah.
a great pick. Okay. Well, for number two, I have to get something. Oh, no, do I want to take that now? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take something that I don't think this is like a favorite movie of mine, but it's so iconic. I'm gonna take the Mystery Machine van.
Damn it! Everyone that just saw my reaction is because I just found the mystery machine. Well done. Well done. That's so
That's
good.
just iconic. You could take that from any Scooby-Doo movie. I mean,
Yeah,
cartoon or not.
they're all the same. That's great. Oh, well done. Good pick. Um, well, I'm gonna go my fucking boy, Lightning McQueen, from Cars.
Okay. I'm a kind of known Cars hater, so I wouldn't have picked that, but I'm happy for you.
Ka-chow, Ash. All right,
I don't like those movies. I think they're kind of just fine.
Ash. Ka-chow.
I like the ride.
The ride's good. The ride is
Ride's
good.
real good. Okay. Now I'm trying to like make sure I get variety too, you know. I don't
Oh,
want to just get the same
car.
stuff here.
I got one. I got one coming up.
Okay. I feel like I've got to get
Oh, we got so many here.
there's so many good ones. I hate to take another 80s movie, but I would be remiss if I did not take the Ghostbusters Cadillac.
That was the next one. That was
It's
literally
just so good.
the Ecto one. Yeah, yeah. That was literally, it was like, I've got one. Yeah, that was, you keep, yeah, nailing this one, Ash.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm just glad it's gone. I'm going to go the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean, the boat.
Black Pearl. Yeah, I didn't even think about boat. You were way more in variety as far as the modes of transportation. I was thinking just more vehicle, so my mind was on that. But sorry, what was your third pick? I don't know why I'm
Ka-chow. Lightning McQueen.
right. I got distracted talking about how I didn't like cars. That's why I didn't write it down.
God damn it. No, you're good. You're good. I do
Okay.
have a funny one that we could include.
Like just as like a honorable
Like,
mention?
like,
Or-
like, I don't think either one of us is going to pick it. Have you got the Titanic on your on
No,
your
I
list?
told I didn't think of anything besides vehicles. I wasn't even thinking boats.
I was like, that might be a bit too much. That might be-
Brutal. Brutal. Okay. Well, at this point, mine are all on wheels, so I'm just sticking with that theme.
Nice.
Let's see. What do I want next? Only because I love my Griswold family. I'm
Yeah,
gonna take
nice.
the Griswold family truck. I think they call it the truckster. Good old American family wagon. You just can't really find them anymore.
That's National Lampoons, right?
Yeah, it's from the Vacation
Yeah,
movie,
cool.
really. It's like I guess the OG.
Cool. Nice. I feel like we can go to 7 if you still have
Sure.
heaps. Yeah, let's go to 7 because I got heaps now. Um, I'm gonna go with this is the car that just has had so much class. The Aston Martin DB5 from Classic Bond, specifically Goldfinger.
Yeah, I saw a lot of lists that included that, but I truly believe in not drafting anything I've never seen, and I have not seen a James Bond movie.
That's
So
so
I
wild, man.
I know. At least I'm honest. I don't try to pretend,
It's true.
It is what it is.
It's true.
Okay. My next pick has to be the Thunderbird from Thelma and Louise.
Oh hell yeah!
Such an iconic scene and car, and those two women are so iconic all around.
That's a
Love that.
that is a great pick. Fuck, there's so many good cars and good vehicles.
There is, like I'm saying, I literally stuck with cars because I'm just like, there's so many.
I'm gonna go. This isn't a car. It's fine. Still, he's transporting something. I'm gonna go the magic carpet from Aladdin.
Your list is way more fun as far as variety goes.
The magic carpet.
Carpet. Wow, I did not even consider
It's
that.
a good one, isn't it?
It is. But it makes me think you could like, could you say like the elephant in Jungle Book, like an animal can be a mode of
But it's
transportation?
a flying carpet.
I know. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just like, I feel like I
You
wouldn't know
can.
where
I would if you wanted to do the elephant out of Jungle Book. If they ride the elephant, I'm gonna
I'm
allow
good.
it.
I'm good. Okay. No, I'm still sticking with my on wheels
Yeah,
theme
nice.
here. Um,
Not
hmm,
Titanic. Not going Titanic.
no, I am between three.
Yeah, if we go to TV, the Bluth family stair car from Arrested Development is good.
There's so many. If you include TV, yeah,
Is
it'd be
good.
possible. Stops. You'd be just going forever. I feel like, do I have to specify? No,
No, I'm not gonna veto anything to be honest. So
I just, I want the Batmobile,
yeah,
but I don't have a particular one in mind. There's a couple really good ones, but I'm just gonna stick with Batmobile for
I feel
now
like
because
I if I were to pick, I'd go like the Clooney ones, which is the
that's
long
what I
one.
was
Yeah,
thinking. But I do like some of the modern ones too. But I do
I
think
think
that might be the
when you
better
pick
one.
Batmobile, it's off the board. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
That's what I'm gonna take.
Nice. That's a good. That's a real to go sixth round. That's wild.
I know it is kind of crazy. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to edge off mine. Hmm. I'm gonna. What are they called again? They're. It's mainly just the wraps of them, but I don't mind. It's the Ford Explorers, but they're the Jurassic Park Ford
Yeah.
Explorers. That are,
So, okay, you want the Ford Explorer though, not the Jeep.
the Jeep. Sorry, yeah, that's what they. That's at least what they're called. Sorry,
So
the
the
S
Jeep Wrangler, I think, is like the actual like Jurassic Park Jeep, like the more open one. No,
that.
that's the Ford Explorer. That one's like the one that they're actually in, like with the
Oh
kids and
wait,
stuff. Yeah.
what's the Jeep then? Let me
Did I just help you?
Jurassic Park Jeep. Oh, I want that one.
I was gonna say that's what I had on my list, but I wasn't gonna end up taking it, so you can totally. That's fine.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I think
all.
that's a bit more of a cool car. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Great movie, by the way. 5 out of
Thank
5.
you. Yeah, thank you. I made it.
Wow, congratulations. I am going to take my final one just as like a little bit of a fun pick from my favorite movie of all time, and I'm gonna take Zed's Chopper because Zed's dead.
Zed's dead, baby.
What's a chopper?
Whose motorcycle is this? It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper. Whose chopper is this? It's Zed's. Who's Zed? Zed's dead, baby. Zed's
That was
dead.
the review. I remember.
It's like my favorite quote from that entire film.
I love Fabio. She is literally the cutest human being to ever
She's
exist.
blueberry pancakes. She's awesome.
they didn't have blueberry. They only had buttermilk. Okay. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. So that's it. Do you want me to recap or you got them all?
I got them. You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
Best vehicles in movies. Ash had the Ferrari from Ferris Bueller's, the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo, the Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, the Truckster from the National Lampoon's Vacation, the Thunderbird from Thelma and Louise, the Batmobile from Batman, any Batmans, and Zed's Chopper from Pulp Fiction. I like the inclusion of Zed's Chopper. That's a great one. I had the DeLorean from Back to the Future, the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, Lightning McQueen, Ka-chow, from Cars, the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean, the Coast of the Black Pearl, the Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger specifically, the Magic Carpet from Aladdin, and the Jurassic Park Jeep from Jurassic Park.
I think the Aladdin magic carpet pick might be the most like out of pocket and the best one.
It's so good, isn't it?
So
That is the end of another episode of Love Death Movies podcast. Again, next week, please watch About Time so that you can join us in, we might cry together. Who knows? Can't wait for that one. That's going to be good fun to watch. And that'll be episode 70. This is episode 69, by the way. Yeah, nice. But episode 70, which is wild. That's crazy.
that's so awesome. Go us.
Go us. We're killing it. So until then, I'm Harry. That's Ash. Love Death Movies. We'll see you in the news.